What's Up Wednesday is back, and today I'm fixing bolts on my turbos and downpipes that have come loose and make my truck sound like a lawnmower. I found a solution that I think will work for me and anyone else suffering with this issue. If you find this helpful or just plain entertaining seeing me fumble around the truck, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for being here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. And this is What's Up Wednesdays, where we talk about truck stuff, not adventure stuff. And today we're talking about the downpipe bolts to the turbos backing out and making your truck sound like a lawnmower. Did a little bit of research on the interwebs, on the Facebook groups, and found what are called locking fasteners, locking bolts. It's a company called Stage 8 Locking Fasteners out of California. I bought their kit and we're going to get it installed here on Coco. But if you want to know what it sounds like to have a turbo leak and what the indications are for having your bolts back out, this is what it sounds like. So what I got to fix this issue are the Stage 8 locking fasteners, not sponsored. I think he's a small business out of California. But anyways, this kit includes 4 of his bolts. They are specially designed for these teardrop things and 4 clips. And what you're gonna wanna do, and I'll show you as I install these, is you put these in just like a regular bolt into the turbo adapters, into the turbo. And so once the bolt is torqued in, you will take the little teardrop thingy here, and it fits over the side, over the top, and fits against this bottom hex portion. And then you take the clip, and there's a little channel in there, and you clip it in. And you want to position it to where the side, either side, depending on which side of the turbo, which side of the truck you're on, that the side of this teardrop thing is resting up against the turbo. So when the bolt tries to back out counterclockwise, it can't because it's hitting the side of the turbo, right? When it's resting up against the side here against the turbo, it won't be able to thread out counterclockwise. If this wasn't here, the bolt could just come out, counterclockwise like that. This kit is expensive. I think it was just over $80, including shipping. And the kit that you want for the Gen 2 at least, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the same for the Gen 3 if you've got the downpipes, is the kit 3904, the 10mm turbo bolt kit, because the bolts that go into the turbo and the turbo adapters are the 10 by 1.5 by 25mm. So look for kit 3904 if you're looking on their website for the right kit. So I already have the truck jacked up. I took the wheel off here just to have a little bit more access if I wanted to access stuff there. Yeah, always a good reminder to wash your truck before you start taking skid plates off and stuff, which I already have the big middle skid plate taken off. And yeah, all prepped, so let's get going. All right, do I look cool in my headlamp here? Don't answer that. Anyways, we're gonna get under the truck here and see what's going on. Oh, and for legal purposes, I'm not a trained or certified mechanic, so proceed in following these instructions at your own risk. All right, up underneath the truck, let me try to show you as best as possible. So I have already sprayed both bolts with PB Blaster to help get the bolts out. The last thing you want, and it's happened, is these bolts to break off inside the turbo. So I have PB blasted them, letting it soak for a bit, but you can see, I'll try to get up there just a little bit closer, that bolt on the left is backing out. And one of my issues, because of the mid-travel kit, is my bypass mount is right in the way of the turbo. So not everyone's gonna have this issue. If you don't have a bypass mount, you're gonna have pretty good and clear access to the turbos from the outside. There's the little turbo adapter, I don't know what it's called, little flappy thing. But when the bolts are loose, that flaps back and forth and creates the lawnmower sound, because that thing just flaps back and forth and sounds like a fart. So anyways, that's what you're hearing. All right, as we get up in here to start taking this off, again, I've let some PB blaster kind of soak in there. So to start, you'll need an 8mm hex head here. It's regular hex head. And it's always good to make sure that the truck is cold. I turn it on for 10 seconds just to show you guys what it sounded like. And the pipes are hot. So just be careful if you're doing this. When the truck is hot, I'd let it cool down first. But trying to get this first bolt off first, or get this left-hand side bolt off first. I'm gonna do one side at a time, just because I don't want anything to like come loose. And this left-hand side is backed out so much, it's gonna be coming out pretty easily. I'm actually gonna take the socket, the wrench off, and just use the extension to thread this out. If it is stuck up in here, if it doesn't feel like it's coming out, what you want to do is you want to thread it in a little bit and then out, because that allows the PB blaster to penetrate into the threads and allows it to come out easier. But this side is coming out super easy, and it is out. And this pipe is hot, but there we go, it's out. So I'm gonna put the new one in. The stage 8 replacement bolt here, the inside of it does seem to be SAE. This 3/16 hex set, if you wanted to use the middle, seems to fit nice and snugly. A 4mm was too small, 5mm too big. Alternatively, because this is a nice hex head type of bolt, it seems like an 11mm socket fits nicely and snug over it to get it nice and torqued down. I've got a swivel socket head thingy here, and I'm just going to try to come up here as straight as I can and thread it in. That seems to be going in nicely. Yeah, you are rubbing right up against the pipe here a little bit, but all right, so that is on. Okie dokie. I switched to the hex head just so that I have a little bit more clearance up against the pipe here. And the torque spec is 25 foot-pounds. So I've got, I don't have one long extension. I should go get one long extension, but I've got two of them put together. That's right. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh man. All right, this. All right, went to Home Depot, got an extension, and oh yeah, that's so much better. You just need to make sure that that's in there, nice and snug. Yeah, I don't like, I'm stripping the inside. I don't like using the middle hex bolt thingy. So we're gonna shift over and get the 11mm socket again. I just always hate those hex head things because I've stripped more than one. So I'm just gonna use the 11mm. I put the swivel socket head thingy back on so I can position this nicely up here and have as much to make it easier on myself, hopefully. Good Lord. This is like working with a limp, you know what. All right. Okay. 25 foot-pounds. Now, get you back centered here. Now comes the hard part of trying to get this little locking mechanism on. One thing to note on these pieces is both of them have sort of a rounded side and then a flat side. And so what I'm doing, what makes sense to me, it's not stated in the instruction, but I'm putting the rounded side against the pipe and the turbo so that this flat side and then that flat side kind of come together like that. Does that make sense? It does to me. I went ahead and unbolted the brackets for my bypass reservoir, so I've got easier access to the turbo here. And I'm still trying to figure out, so this little teardrop thing isn't really fitting. It doesn't exactly perfectly fit. Like there's not enough room between the side of the bolt and the pipe for it to like fit in there nice and cleanly. So I guess I'm gonna have to try and tap it in. I don't know. So I'm gonna try to push this in as much as I can, maybe get, oh, there we go. That might do it, and try to get, actually I think that might do it. Let's see if I can get the clip on now. All right, let's see if I can get this little clip on. I'm gonna need a little, something to tap that in. All right, I think that is locked in. The clip's down. All right, I got the right side of the passenger side done. I'm trying to work on this side now, going back to it. But usually this issue, this whole like loosening up of the bolts backing out, it does happen on the passenger side because this is where more of like the heat is, so it expands things, it allows it to back out. I will be doing my driver's side too, just maybe not tonight. So because this wouldn't fit up in there, I shaved just a tiny little bit on this side with my Dremel, and it's fitting nicely up into there, so it fits around the bolt, and I'll be able to put the clip on. I'll show you. All right, so this left side of the passenger side, it's angled that way, just the orientation of the bolt, but if you can visualize it, if the bolt starts to unthread and move counterclockwise, that leg of the teardrop will come up and hit the pipe. So that's the concept. Like I said, I did shave down just a little bit on the teardrop piece with my Dremel. You really only need to do just the tiniest bit, and was able to slip that clip on onto the side there with a screwdriver. Those that have like really strong hands might not have an issue with it, but I did, so I just used a little bit of leverage from a screwdriver and clipped it on. So anyways, that's what it looks like. Hopefully that's right. Well, it's dark outside now. I'm really slow. So for you like mechanic quizzes, it might not take very long, but yeah, I had to run to the store, get the extension, try to figure out the best fitment of the little teardrop thingies. Anyways, let's start her up and see how she sounds. Fingers crossed. All right, well, she sounds decent. There's like some other exhaust rattle in the back. I'm not gonna worry about it. One of my heat shields is also loose. When we put in the downpipes, we forgot to put one of the nut things back in that has the big like integrated washer. So it wouldn't fit, so that's a little rally back there, but the lawnmower sound is gone.
Several days later.
Update on the little locking plate not fitting between the pipe and the bolt. I was about to call them, and then I reread the instructions, and I guess you can cut it like that. If bolt is too close to pipe, this modification to the retainer is okay. So I got my Dremel out with the little cutoff wheel thingy and cut the tail off, and then ground it down with the little sand attachment thing on the Dremel. So I don't know if this is going to be small enough to fit in there, but I'm going to see. I've got the other 3 already installed. I'm just gonna leave it. I'll show you how it looks, but I've got the last one to do and thought I would try to cut off the little tail and see how this works. On the driver's side, I got the lower bolt in. And again, I'm just gonna leave it like that because if the little tail comes around, it'll hit the pipe. And I just have the upper one left to do, which I might have to take my reservoir down again to get it from the top. Yes, I'm lying under the truck right now and it's not lifted up. So anyhow, I'm going to see if I can get it out from the side. All right, I tried to get that top bolt out and it is in there. And so I'm not going to fix what's not broken. I don't want to wrench on it and have the head break off there. So I'm just going to leave it. But I am going to take the piece that I trimmed here and put it into one of the other bolts that I can easily access. And just take out the existing clip and the locking plate and put that in. Okie dokie, well I got the cut one up there, fits well. Again, just the way that the bolt itself is clocked, that tail there is hitting up against the pipe, but that's going to prevent it from backing out. Again, if you can visualize the bolt turning counterclockwise as it's threading out, that little tail there hitting the pipe will prevent it from backing out. So I'm going to go ahead and put the clip in and call this job done. Got the clip in, and to push it up and to get it out, I just used a flathead screwdriver, and to get it out, I just kind of stick it in there to those little channels there and pull. And then to get it on, I just kind of push on the side of it. You guys with strong hands can probably just push it on, but I've got weak little hands. But anyways, I've got 3 of these installed. The one bolt on the driver's side is nice and tight, so I'm not going to remove that, but I'm going to get her all buttoned up and I will show you what I recommend to have on hand to do this job. The items on hand I recommend having for this job: PB Blaster, spray the existing bolts. Even if they're coming loose with PB Blaster, let it soak before trying to get them out. You'll need an 8mm Allen wrench, or I've got the socket edition here. I use a torque wrench, but you can use a regular socket wrench. A long extension, I think this is like an 18 or 24-inch one. One of these swivel head socket ends is helpful to get all up in there because the angles to the turbo bolts are a little bit weird. Of course, the Stage 8 locking bolt kit, a flathead screwdriver, Dremel to cut off the little locking plate tail if you need to, and then an 11mm socket. I do not recommend using the Allen key option on this to tighten it because it's aluminum, you will strip it. So just use an 11mm socket over it and it will be just fine. I do wish this was like grade 8 hardware versus aluminum, but maybe from a manufacturing perspective, grade 8 wouldn't work and probably drive up the price even more. So anyways, that's what I recommend having on hand to do this job. But anyways, guys, that is it. Hope this was helpful. Everything here will be listed in the description box below. Thanks. See you guys next time.